everyone, it's Alyssa with Universe of Magic Podcast. We're about to talk dining aboard the Disney Wish, but I'm still kind of looking for John.
Where could he be? Up next.
Well, hello. Welcome to episode 39. I'm already talking with my hands, so you know the show is going to be epic. My name is John. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined at the table virtually by my good friend Alyssa.
Hello, everybody.
And my good friend Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
Yes, we're getting new. Jeff could not be on this trip with us, but I'll tell you, we got back what was it, 2 weeks ago?
A week and a half.
A week and a half ago on this amazing, my voice is cracking just talking about it. This just amazing, cruise. My first Disney cruise, my first cruise period, where I got probably, I don't know, over the 5 days I was in Florida, probably about 16 hours of sleep. So it was a lot. It was a lot. There was 30 miles walked, a lot of food consumed. We're going to cover it all on this show. So
but this is perfect, John. See, I have a non-wish. You guys can sell me on it. You can tell me how it compares to. I've been on the other 4 ships. I've been on Fantasy and Dream and Magic and Wonder. You can tell me what the differences are. So this is perfect.
I will say, Jeff, so when I got off on Monday, my dad picked me up from the port, and I was like, Dad, you have to go on this ship. I enjoyed my other Disney cruise on the Magic, definitely, but this one's just like it blows.
Well, I have to ask, because I've read a lot of reviews on Fantasy, or not on Wish, and the number one thing I see mentioned all the time, it's got a very contemporary, a very futuristic decor. Is that true? Or is it more traditional and more elegant like the other 4 ships?
Elegant is the word. It's definitely different. It's definitely different. Whereas I think the first 4 ships give you a more nautical feeling. You don't really get a nautical feeling, I feel like, unless you're up on the pool deck. So, but otherwise, it's very elegant, classy, princess. It definitely gives you that feel.
Just amazing. And Alyssa, we don't even know, we could probably break this trip down to I don't know, 2 episodes, just because it was just so much. And where do you even want to begin? Well, first of all, forgot to mention this. Everything we do here on the show is brought to you by momentsofmagictravel.com for all your Disney Universal theme park needs. momentsofmagictravel.com. So be sure to hit us up, find an agent near you. Look forward to hearing from you again. So, and if you are new to this program, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on audio, be sure to drop us a like and give us a follow. With that being said, Alyssa, where do we even begin?
So, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we all had our expectations going in to it. And I think a lot of things, I've watched so many videos and read so many articles about the Wish to inform my clients, but until you go do it yourself, you really don't know. And so our intention going to this, it was a 3-night Halloween on the High Seas cruise going to Nassau and Castaway Cay. And 3 nights, simply put, is not enough. If you're going to stay on the Wish, you need to do the 4-night cruise.
Yes.
We did 3, and like John said, we got almost no sleep because we were trying to do everything, and we still didn't do everything. So,
has there been any talks in 24 of making 7-day itineraries on Wish now that Treasure's coming out?
I think my understanding is that the Wish will continue on 3 and 4 night, and then the Treasure will do 7. Now, what I will say is you could easily do, like, if it's in the card, you could do a back to back, and then maybe focus on like the 3 or 4 night on the Wish, just the things exclusive to the Wish, and then do the 7 night, and then do everything that's on both ships, and then the things that are exclusive to the Treasure.
Because if I'm being honest, and that's what we do, we present information to everybody, right?
Yep.
That was one of the things that was a bummer to me, and one of the decisions why I punted on going on this trip was because I've been on a couple Disney 3-night trips before, and it's like they whet your appetite and they kick you off the ship, you know.
Yeah.
And it's tough, and I didn't want to have that homesick feeling having to leave, and I know you guys felt it, right?
I feel like I just understood the layout of the ship too by the 3rd night, and then we had to get off. So
7 sometimes can be too long if the waters are rough or the weather's not great. I kind of think that 5 day is the sweet spot for Disney cruises.
Agreed.
But man, I cannot wait to get on Wish and Treasure. I think it's gonna. And what's the new one? Adventure 2. There's 3 of them. I mean, it's exciting.
It's just insane. Like, there's just an overload of information in my brain right now, and I'm like,
oh yeah. Every Disney cruise for me is like that too. And this is the first.
Yeah.
This is the first Disney cruise ship that went away from their animator's palette too, didn't it?
Yes.
True.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much regarding dining that we have to talk to. And why don't we just go there right now? So
because I think that was, and as it is any cruise, the food is a big part of the experience.
It's almost number 1 for me.
Yeah, but like something like Animator's Palette, super engaging, super cool. The theming is awesome. I think the Wish definitely stepped it up even more. So if we go in order, so you're obviously everyone has a different rotational dining experience. So we're gonna go in order of what John and I did. So because he was stuck with me at the table at the
and we could argue the other way around.
Well, I have to think the very first place you guys went to when you get on the ship was up to Marceline's Market, right?
Yes. Well,
go ahead.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get there.
So you had the choice of Marceline's, the pool deck, quick service, or Arendelle as a sit down. My group chose to do Arendelle, so we immediately went there because we knew by the time we got done, then our room would be ready, and then we got to go put our stuff down and everything, and then go explore the rest of the ship. So. And it was kind of cool because our seats for dinner were actually right by the stage.
Yes.
But when I went there for that lunch, when we first got on, it was over towards the back, like the window. And from Arendelle, you can see Rapunzel on the back of the ship from that restaurant.
Oh, cool. So your very first 2 meals were at Arendelle. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And John, you went to Marceline?
I went to Marceline Market, and because both my aunt, and shout out to my aunt Wanda, who we'll talk several times through this episode, was an absolute rock star. We were both hungry, and the food. I will say this was, being a foodie, we all know this. It was really, really good. I mean, there were some things that we'll talk about, but the one thing that I really did enjoy was Marceline Market because it was consistent.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Marceline Market is the new Cabanas, right?
Yes.
And I would say the food is similar to Cabanas, but the ambiance and the sitting area and everything was a huge step up. It was so nice. It was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, so I think you had those 2 options when you got on the ship. And then John, you saw us in the atrium when we got on the ship. Did you hear what they announced our name as?
Yes. In fact, I was going to, and if I have time and if I find my camera, it was actually funny because the way that they introduced us, my aunt and I, was the Wandering Oaks party. Because it was my aunt Wanda and me, and we were Wanda, and my last name is Oaks, so ha ha ha. So but the nice thing, and I'm not sure if you want to talk about this now, Alyssa, but the nice thing about Disney cruises and I have a picture of this fine gentleman. Um, he was with us the entire time. Fanai was just, and of course, it's not
Oh,
going to do.
Fanai.
Oh, how cool.
Fanai,
Oh.
and of course, it's not going to do what I want it to do. But Fanai was just sensational. Like his smile, man. Like he was just the sweetest guy. He's a hard worker. In fact, a funny story. I think what was it, 1923, the next night, which we'll talk about next. But like he knew the second night that all I wanted to eat was steak. And I'm like, how big's the fillet? He's like, for you, Mr. John, times two. I'm like, all right, my man. Like, so
The
like,
ser- yeah, the service was
yes.
exceptional. So we had Fanai, Jeff, and like they were so good. So like I went totally gluten free on this cruise, and Fanai was so good about at the end of every time he would check with me on what I wanted the next day. He checked with me about my options on Castaway Key. Like he was so good about it. But they were so fun too. Like I have a video of me and Fanai belting out Frozen music.
Yes,
Oh,
like
awesome.
that Frozen meal. Let me just tell you, that set the tone
It did.
for how much fun this was. Like, and, like I'm just giddy talking about it because it was just great.
I agree. If you are able to make the request to have Arendelle first as on your dining invitation, I agree that it set the tone for everything and just kind of boosted like the morale and the excitement like even more than it already was. So I think that was really cool to start with Arendelle. I thought the food was good in Arendelle. I definitely think 1923 was better. I don't know your ranking on steaks, John, but I thought you had the best steak.
So, but before you go to 1923, Arendelle is basically themed after Frozen. Is it like you're eating in the castle? Is it in the city? What is the decor there?
It's supposed to be a celebration. It's post Frozen 2, so it's a celebration of Anna and Kristoff's engagement. So,
which, let me see. I don't actually. It's not going to work quite the way I wanted it to, but I do have a snippet. So
that's cool.
It's just I didn't want to get too much copyrighted here, but top-notch entertainment through and through that night, just like phenomenal.
They're not going to come after us, John. We're promoting Wish.
True.
I got the T-shirt.
I will say, top-notch. I was laughing from the beginning to end and singing my heart out from the beginning to end is when what's his name? Yoo-hoo! And
Ben
and Kristoff were singing Let It Go. It was not Elsa. It was Kristoff and what's his name? like doing it. And it was so much fun. Like, and I think, and they were having fun with it too. Like they knew it was ridiculous that the men were the ones singing it and everything. And I thought that was really cool.
Just so much fun. So then we switch the next night to 1923, which was class and Disney nostalgia, and it was great. And the nice thing is, it was right as we were leaving the port in Nassau, and you could see the windows were giant. You can see us moving, and the sunset was there. It was a little bright.
I will say now that I've done both, so we did early dining on this cruise. I did late dining on my last cruise. I will say I think I prefer late dining.
Yes.
So, because I definitely did feel rushed to get to dinner. And then you had this little lull in between dinner and when the theater shows were. So
I would agree with you 1,000%. We done an Alaskan cruise this summer, and it was the first time ever we done late dining. And I actually loved it because when we got back from our excursions, we had some downtime, didn't have to rush right away to get to dinner, which I loved. And the character you're thinking of is Oaken.
Thank you.
Not only that, but being a first-time cruiser, seeing the ship moving at first with dinner did not sit well with my stomach. So I'm like, oh boy.
We also did
So
have some rough seas. Like not the worst
yes.
I've ever experienced, but
Mm-mm.
it was definitely rocky. Like if you
Yeah.
weren't used
Yeah.
to it, you kind of needed some medicine. So
Yeah.
like rocky,
It was rough.
yeah.
So
But no,
All right.
1923 was cool. We were in a like a little Cinderella section, so there's original artwork and different
yes.
things that they utilized to make the movie. So like right next to where I was sitting, there were paint samples, and like one of them said something. What was it? It was like pumpkin carriage orange. Like they would name it after like what that color represented in the movies and stuff. And they had like little stuff like mice for like Jack and Gus like that they used I think before they animated them and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of really cool. And it was supposed to be all like authentic stuff. And
And that
I hear that the treasure is going to have the same thing, but for different stories.
and that
Yeah.
restaurant kind of celebrates the legacy of Walt Disney Studios, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there was a
Yeah.
Walt side and a Roy side, and so we
Yeah.
ate on the Walt side, and it says it in your navigator app what side you're on.
Well, I freaking love that. I mean, obviously Walt is everybody's hero, but I think Roy, the unsung hero who made Walt Disney World happen after
Yeah.
Walt's passing, he doesn't get enough
Yeah.
love, I think, sometimes. So I love the fact that you guys just told me to dedicate a side to him. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
So do we go into the last night, or do we save that for dessert? Because I think that was by far the funnest night, because that was like,
World's a
I'm going to
Marvel,
leave
right?
that up to you. What?
That
That
was
was
right?
Marvel.
So how
And that
about
was
we pause right here, and
Yes.
you're gonna insert the loveliness that we recorded.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Let's see it, John.
Oh.
And this one, while he's setting it up, this is where the worlds of Marvel come together, right? You get to see Spider-Man, and there's, I'm assuming, other Marvel fun characters and stuff. Is this the one? Am I mistaken? Is this where they have the Ant-Man show on the wall and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I was very
Yes.
surprised they had other characters I didn't realize were in it. So they had Captain Marvel, they had Miss Marvel, they had Captain America.
Okay.
Who else did they had something else? But there was a whole storyline with a villain and like and one of my I have a lot of pro tips, but one of my pro tips is I actually felt like the Magic Band Plus was worth the investment simply for the Marvel show alone, because it vibrated along with crazy stuff happening.
Mhm.
So it just kind of elevated the experience just a little bit.
I'm really glad while he's still queuing this up, I'm really glad you brought that up, Alyssa, because I have some clients right now who are asking me for a November cruise in a couple of weeks. Should they get the Magic Bands? So
For the Wish?
Yeah,
Yes.
tell me what the Magic Bands give you on a cruise ship, as opposed to, we know what they do at Walt Disney World, right? In Disneyland.
Right.
What do they really give you on a cruise ship?
So it completely replaces your card except for getting on and off the ship. You still need your card for that.
Okay.
But you can use it to charge, you can use it to open your cabin room, you can use it for most anything. And in both, I found in the restaurants, the lounges, and the theater shows, it interacts with all of that.
Okay.
So I was very intentional about putting on the charger every night. So in the morning I got put it on, and it lasted me all day.
Now, did you pre-order them before you guys went, and in addition to that, do they also sell them on the cruise ship if you have buyers?
They do.
Yes and yes.
Okay, good.
Did I lose you guys?
No, you're here.
Okay. I don't know why this isn't working.
Okay,
so we're just gonna add this post, because this is so. Long story short, Fat Thor meets Spider-Man. I mean, what more do you need? It was possibly the funnest.
I can hear it in my head. Thor, buddy, you need to work out.
Spider-Man said that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Yeah, that was honestly, and like, so prior to dinner, like, I was getting roasted by like everyone. I was being called Hagrid. I was being called the Big Lebowski. Like, I was just like, it was unreal. And like, if you know me, and Alyssa, you can attest to this, I was in full character all night. Like, and my poor aunt, if you see her face at the end, she's just like, "Oh God, make it stop."
Spider-Man, I have your autograph. Spider-Man. Yes. How are you? We're taking to Swama. Yes. Dude, look at me. Yes.
So like it was really it was really a lot of fun.
I
So
thought
like
Spider-Man played that. So I also, how the heck does Spider-Man sounded exactly like Tom Holland?
yeah.
I don't know how they did that, but anyway, but literally when he's like, Thor, buddy, you need to work like it
He's like,
sounded
we
just
should work
like him.
out. Like I'm like, I know, look at me. Like
It was
was completely
funny.
Awesome.
it was completely not planned and like and dare I say probably really magical. Like I mean it was magical.
For someone like
Um
John, that was his peak. He's peaked.
oh like mic
That was
drop
that,
like
that was John's 15 minutes right there.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
15 minutes of fame.
that I'm the guy from that thing like on the cruise ship like
So
you know
this
I'm
reminds me to point out, and I think I knew this, but people like John, Bethany, people who had never cruised Disney weren't really aware. When you're doing a dinner with characters on Disney Cruise Line, it's not your normal character meal. They don't really stop by your table for pictures and autographs and stuff. They more kind of stop by to say hello and just mention something, and then they leave. And then they go off to their next one. So I know some people were disappointed that they couldn't get pictures with the characters, but it is different than Walt Disney World in that way. So like Spider-Man had this whole conversation with John a table lengths away.
yeah.
And so like he never really came up. He really only went up to a couple of the kids that were more in the aisle way and then like talked to some people from
And I
far.
really think Fanai like kind of encouraged Spider-Man to really work with that because I remember him like being like, I got you. So
And that's a good point, Alyssa, because I've had some families too basically say they didn't stop at our table, the characters. And it is a different vibe, which I'm sure you guys, will attest to. In the Navigator app, there's character meet and greets all over the ship at certain times. I don't know if the Marvel characters were meeting and greeting. I have to assume they were somewhere, or at least I hope
they were.
I believe they were in the kids clubs.
Yeah. Okay.
There were different times. Yeah.
I mean, we got to meet that night. We got to meet Oogie Boogie. We got to dance with Oogie Boogie. I mean, that was fun. Man, like
I have to be honest, that Oogie Boogie and then the characters within the dinner were actually my only character interactions this entire trip because I focused more on the ship and like what to do. Whereas my last cruise was a 5-day cruise. I had plenty of time. Like
now, did any of you guys get to experience like either Palo or any other dining experiences, anything like that?
So I got to do Enchante. I did the dessert experience. So it's $65 a person, and I have to say it was 100% worth it. There's also an optional wine pairing. I want to say it was $30 or $35, and they were nice pours, like totally worth the extra money.
So is the dessert experience kind of like seats and treats on at?
Oh, much better.
Similar? Much better. Okay.
Much better. Yeah. So there wasn't obviously like entertainment in the typical sense, like fireworks or anything, but so there were 6 desserts. They brought them out one at a time, and they gave you a backstory of like every dessert, which was really cool. And we had gorgeous views. So we were docked in Nassau at the time, and so we had gorgeous views. And like I liked 5 out of the 6 desserts. There was one that like no one at our table really loved, but the rest of them were exquisite and like filling. Like it didn't feel like you were getting tiny little things. Like they gave me one of our desserts looked like an entire lemon. And they said it took 4 days to make that lemon.
So this wasn't just sampler. This was like full desserts.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to show up correctly, but for reference, I'm going to put this in here. We did in Nassau, on the ship, we did the chocolate and wine tasting. And let me tell you, wow. I mean, I never thought I liked wine. But I like wine, and like it was. Oh,
yeah.
yes, like
I'm not a wine person. I've tried to like it, but it
But I
hasn't
like
really
chocolate.
taken.
I like chocolate, and it was
Now,
really good.
that might be. I was just gonna say that might be a way to get me to try wine again if the pairings are fun.
So, and that was the thing. I had to choose between the chocolate and wine tasting and then the enchanté dessert experience because they were both happening at the same time. And I chose to do enchanté just because I didn't know if I'd ever get to go on the Wish again, but I knew I'd probably go on a Disney cruise again where they do offer the chocolate and liqueur tasting.
Yeah, well,
So,
between you both, you got to do both. You got
yeah.
covered in both, which is great.
I mean, it was an amazing experience. You know, just so much.
Yeah, they definitely
Then
make it worth the added cost. So, because again, the
yes,
majority of things are included on the Wish, but things like the fine dining, the different mixology type classes, like all that is an extra charge, but it's not astronomical. Like it's really not that bad.
And I saw
So,
Yeah.
some of the agents did partake in some of the mixology and things like that. I saw some pictures.
yeah, I
Awesome.
think that was the cool thing going with such a big group was that a lot of us got to experience different things because we just simply didn't have enough time to do everything.
Yeah.
And we were able to like share tips and tricks that we had learned while we were on the ship. So like I did not know this, that the Incredibles course in Hero Zone is only open for 6 hours on the Nassau day.
Okay.
wow.
It's not open any other time. And I didn't know that. And so I planned to do Enchanté in that time. Had I known that, maybe I would have then quickly gotten dressed right after, gone to the Incredibles course and stuff. But instead I totally missed it. And I didn't realize that. So like little tips like that, I was able to get from some other agents, which then makes it easier for us and our clients to be able to share that. Like, hey, if that's important to you, it's on your Nassau day. So you just have to know.
So the one thing too I wanted to just share, as far as like on in Nassau in general, like I'm not a fan of, I don't know. Had I known what I know now about Nassau, I'd be a little bit more comfortable staying on the ship and kind of going into our next topic, which is the comforts of Castaway Cay, because it's a little bit more, I don't know. I feel a little bit more safer because Nassau was okay. It was just it is what it is. So
Nassau is it's a tourist trap. It's cool, you know, going into town and doing some things, but obviously if you have an excursion booked where you're going over to Atlantis or going to a beach, you know, you're going to be a little bit safer, John.
well, shout out again to my aunt who during our training on Saturday decided to go to Atlantis and she forgot to turn off airplane mode, so I legit thought I lost her. So I'm scrambling.
She made it back.
She made it back, but like my anxiety was a little spiked. But yeah, it was a little fun.
So I also want to point out we're also coming from the point of view of a group of 30 adults that went on this ship. So which was actually part of our training, which is really great, is discussing the different populations that we help. One of them being an adult only vacation on a Disney cruise, because I think Disney cruise is all about the family, the kids, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, I did not see one character this entire cruise, like in close proximity, besides the stage shows, other than Oogie Boogie. That was, and that was because I went to an adult only Halloween party where he was. So like, I think for those who always have the question of, well, it's just like me and my husband or me and my friends, like, should we go? Like, yes, you can have an amazing time, especially on the Wish. So as John's holding up his, I have my medal over here. Hold on.
Oh, you won! That's right, you did win one.
I am very proud of this medal because I break danced for it.
And in fact, at the end of this episode, there's actually a video where Alyssa and I were dancing with Oogie Boogie. Me as Fat Thor and her as one of the fairy godmothers.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh
to see
yeah,
that.
yeah. That was, yeah. It was.
If Disney is listening, that Oogie Boogie adult only Halloween party had great potential.
Yes.
However, it
was lacking.
it was lacking. It felt like a middle school dance party at some points.
Yes,
So,
because they walked in there. I'm like, oh, aren't we a bunch of wallflowers?
it was literally a whole bunch of people along like the edge, and like so we all walked in and we're just jamming out with Oogie Boogie, and it was a blast. But then like when people started leaving, it was just kind of boring. So
And
I some encouragement to Disney, maybe bring some different entertainment or different more. The cast that was like leading it were very nice, but they just weren't on par with like the
they had the
vibe
sassy
that we did.
villains, and it was good. And like, to be honest with you, like I was so warm in that costume. Like, whose brilliant idea was to wear pajama bottoms, a robe, and a wig,
Yours, John.
and a beard? Oh, I
Ugh.
have you know, the costume did not make it off the ship. So Fat Thor is God. So
It was a good time. Anyway, so going
it was
back
great.
to like adult only type things, that was fun for a little bit, and then there were just so many. It is set up. I know, Jeff, I'm sure you've seen in some of the things that you've read that some people who are frequent DCL cruisers complained about the layout of the ship. And I did even hear some of our bartenders not so much complain, but they said they definitely prefer that the other ships, all the lounges, all the adult only areas are all in one section.
Yeah.
Whereas all of the lounges on the Wish are kind of spread throughout, which personally I preferred, because I didn't have to stay secluded to one side of the ship. I could go enjoy a bunch and like hop to different areas. So that was my preference. There's also several coffee shops, not just Cove Cafe, but specialty coffee areas spread also throughout the ship on the Wish, which again, I think I preferred. So pros and cons to it. I never once went to the adult only pools, because I will say I do agree with the one complaint that the pools are very small.
Yeah, they're always
the one. Yeah,
that's number one complaint on all Disney ships is that the adult pools are small.
And
But
one
the pools
thing I
in
will
general
say,
were very small.
the one thing I will say is the pool at the end of the adult only pool has a very difficult ladder, and you know, as like we'll show some pictures, as far as like, I mean, for height for me was a challenge. You know, it was kind of a difficult. I looked at it and I'm like, oh, this is inviting, but is it worth me trying to navigate a ladder down to?
And
I'm
really
like, no.
those types of things you had to prioritize when a lot of the family stuff was going on. So during Pirate Night, with all the entertainment, then the adult only area was barren. Like there was barely anything there. So that would have been prime time to go and have enjoyed the infinity pool with no one there. But it's like, then it's a matter of, were you really invested in something like Pirate Night, or did you really not care?
Yeah.
So,
what about the main pool? Did they learn from the first 4 ships? Is it still kind of small? Did it feel like it was just crowded at sometimes when you walk by?
So there's not a main pool. There's like 4 small pools.
Okay.
Very small pools.
Yeah.
So
very small.
It was like little sardines, like playing Marco Polo. Like it. That was definitely. I never went in a pool on the ship because it was just too small.
Yeah, I did go to the hot tub in the adults only section once, and it was nice, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like something that, like, after walking 6-7 miles you're like, oh, this is great.
What about did they have a splash area like they do on the other 4 ships, like Nemo's and all that? They had the splash area?
That the splash area is great.
It was slightly separate from the main pool area. It was like around the back of the funnel vision. But it was adorable. It was Toy Story themes, and that was really, really nice. And then they do have the Aqua Mouse, which I got to ride twice, and I thought I enjoyed it. It was very fun. I did not expect to get soaking wet on it, but you do. I was worried because the first time I went was on our Nassau day, and I was like, oh, some people will be off the ship. Well, a lot of people had the same idea as me to stay on the ship all day during Nassau. And so the line was full, like wrapped around, but it only took 20 minutes to get through.
And this is the complimentary water coaster that's kind of like Aqueduct, right?
Right. So, but it
Yeah.
has like a storyline, like on your way up.
Yep.
And it was fun. I mean, it was engaging, and it was a cute story, and you get splashed with water the whole way up, and like it was a lot of fun. Enough fun that I did it again on the Castaway Key day.
So staying into the family entertainment mode, talk to me about the movie theaters. I understand Wish has got 2 movie theaters versus
Yes.
the one Walt Disney theater that they have on the other 4 ships. So
Mhm.
there's 2 smaller ones, right?
Yep, and which I think is cool because then there's a variety of different things.
Yeah, they can show more than one movie at a time, right? And I'm assuming they're different movies playing at the same times, you know, and they're all just, that's one of the things I love about Disney cruise ships is they're usually first run movies of Disney stuff that's been out in the theaters. I'm assuming they probably were showing Indiana Jones and
Haunted Mansion,
and all those
live
ones.
action Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Yeah. So
all right.
so
What about the main theater? How does that compare to the other 4 ships? Is it a little bit different, bigger, smaller? What they utilize or do differently in the main theater where the shows are?
It felt similar in size, I'd say, and layout. I think just different shows. I thought I saw the one with Goofy Stars. I think it's like Sail Away something. I don't remember what it's called. And that was really cute. It was kind of like a if you've been on the other ships, like on the Magic, they had one where like a girl was like afraid of growing up, and a bunch of characters came and visit her and made her feel like a kid again. I feel like this was Goofy's version of he wanted to be the captain of the ship, and he had a bunch of like characters that kind of helped him along the way. And so I thought that was well done. And then I saw Aladdin. Also,
I saw Aladdin. That was the only one I got a chance to see. I loved it.
It was very good.
It was great.
Very well done. Again, Broadway caliber. Yeah, I haven't seen the actual Aladdin Broadway, and I mean they try to condense it into less than an hour too. So there were obviously a couple parts that maybe got cut, but overall really well done. So then I guess that means neither of us saw Little Mermaid, which time just needed that.
There's not enough time.
Yeah, so I prioritized, instead of seeing Little Mermaid, going to do a bunch of the lounges and the other entertainment that they had.
Yeah.
That was also Pirate Night, so I wanted to go see the stage show for Pirate Night,
which was great.
So,
So I think what we're gonna have to do, because like there's so much left to talk about on the ship, we're gonna save Castaway Key if it's okay with you guys, we're gonna save Castaway Key for next show, because there's
episode.
It could be its own episode. Like it's great, but we have to do this. Again, we're brought to you by Moments of Magic Travel. Again, this was our conference. This was amazing. So again, hit us up, momentsmagictravel.com, for all your Disney Universal theme park needs. I mean, cruises, we do everything. So, I mean, hey.
And want to throw that out there that our agency gives free onboard credit when you book through us. So definitely reach out to us and ask us how you can get that yourself. Actually, no added cost to you. We literally just give you money to book with us.
We do. You never know. You might have a $400 or $500 credit from us when you get on.
You never know. So
there you go.
I wanted to touch on, we're like jumping around a bunch, but so I focused a little bit on the adults only aspect of it. But when it comes to the families and the kids clubs, the kids clubs on the Wish are mind blowing. They like this is top of the line, top notch. You can't get this kind of thing on any other cruise line. And I wanted to be a kid so bad. And so I made a plan of going to the very first open house. I slid down that slide into the kids club. And
I don't think I'd be able to do that.
Oh, it was a blast. And I got to be a Marvel superhero and fight some bad guys. And like I got to drive the little thingy in the Star Wars area. Like there was a Mickey and Minnie were having a dance party with the kids. Oh, there's a Star Wars area. But yeah, Mickey and Minnie were having a dance party with the kids. There it is. And that was so fun. And they had all this different art stuff. Had I been a kid on a Disney cruise on the Wish, I never would have left, ever. My parents would have had to drag me out of there. because it was just so stellar. And I keep like saying I didn't want to bring Trip on a cruise ship until he was 3 and he could enjoy the kids clubs. But even the It's a Small World nursery like was incredible. I took a whole minute video of like the little train that like goes around like the top of it because I just love it. So
And just to clarify for our viewers, It's a Small World is for infants up to what? 3?
3, or you could be a 3-year-old and you could technically go to the kids club, but if you're not potty trained, you have to go to the nursery.
And then from there you start going into the Oceaneers Club, right?
Yeah, for 3 to 12-year-olds.
And then you start going into the tween and teen clubs after that.
There's just so much. It's like even checking out, even at the Oogie Boogie like Halloween Bash, which is where the kids club thing was. It just looked so cool. Just the different areas and stuff like that. And the one thing that I will say, just talking about positives of this ship, is it's fairly easy to navigate. You think a ship that size, it's really hard to navigate. I mean, my biggest complaint was trying to find our place for the drill.
The mustard
Which
drill.
Yeah, the mustard drill, which was.
But you had like just gotten on the ship. You didn't really have the layout too much yet, so that in a way makes sense. But the cast members were helpful because we didn't know where we were going either, and they pointed us in each direction. So I thought that was a big complaint of seasoned DCLers that they didn't like the layout of the ship, but I actually really liked it. I liked that the elevators weren't in the very middle. I liked that you just had to go to the forward or the aft to find it. Like, and there were more than just like 3-4 elevator shafts. There were like 8, like in each area. So
yes, the one thing I will say, and I did get to go up to the concierge area, and we're actually going to be posting some videos on our YouTube channel of the concierge area, is I believe only 2 of the 4 elevators in the front or were in the concierge area of the ship actually go up to the concierge area. So you have to be mindful of that.
True. You did have to know there were certain elevators that only took you so far. Some of them only went to deck 11 where the pool deck was, and then you had to get on a different elevator to go up to like 12, 13.
Yes.
However high it went.
So, yes.
But like again, once you figure that out, I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. So again, I think it's people who are just seasoned and just liked things a certain way that maybe were complaining about it. But I think there were a lot of pros to the changes in the layout for sure. So,
and I will say my biggest concern being 6'10", and we'll actually throw this picture up here. It's just of being, a really tall guy, and just it was surprisingly comfortable. I mean, that's my aunt.
That's a great picture.
Like it was honestly like it was comfortable, and a pro tip: if you're really tall and really uncomfortable in the showers, you can go to Senses Spa and take advantage of the rainfall shower. I mean, my mind was blown at how nice that shower was. I'm like, I'm going to do this every day. We didn't even touch on that.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the rooms at all. Like, another step up. The bathrooms were, I thought, incredible. I felt very, very cramped in the shower on the Magic, and while it's definitely smaller than a standard shower, I definitely felt fine like on the Wish. Again, we had the veranda room, like a deluxe ocean view veranda room, and we had the split bathroom. And this I purposely bought night lights because I always have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, and then I knock into things and everything. But the Wish had little lights on the floor at nighttime.
And Alyssa, you just said something that I don't want to just gloss over because it's one of the unique things about Disney Cruise Line. You said the word split bathrooms, and a lot of people might not know what that means because you go on a royal ship or some of the other cruise lines and you just have the one bathroom, right?
Yeah.
The Disney does it to a split bathroom. Explain what that is, Alyssa.
So you have one bathroom, one room that is just like the shower and a vanity with like the sink and mirror and everything. And then another one that's the toilet and another vanity.
And may not
So-
think that's much, but it's huge for families who are trying to get ready for dinner all at once. And
Mhm.
Or huge for 3 friends who weren't necessarily going to go naked in front of each other
And
in
blew
the
a
bathroom.
fuse. And blew a
So-
fuse.
yeah.
That was not me that blew the fuse. No, and then again though, the Disney service, like we came though back to our room every night, and our curling irons and our straighteners and hair dryers were wrapped up with little like clips holding the cords together.
Yep.
That was something that our hostess like did for us, and like it was just so nice. Like on top of the normal like cleaning and everything.
So I saw a lot of pictures of the staterooms, and you guys were there, and I'm sure you can attest to it. It looks like it's the next level of staterooms on Wish.
It really is. Like,
they're beautiful.
And let me just tell you, like, again, Disney service is top notch. My aunt, who I offered to take the sofa bed, but she declined. She like had an issue with the mattress. We called and we actually spoke to guest services. Guest services brought up a 4-inch mattress topper, and like she slept on that and she had no complaints the rest of the way. She said, you know, because she's loyal to another brand, she's like, I've never had service like this on a cruise line. So, you know, props to Disney on everything, man. Like this
John,
is like,
you had an inside stateroom?
yes, yeah.
So did they have the virtual porthole in there?
They did not.
Okay, so that's a little bit different than some of the earlier ships, right?
Yep, it is different, and I will say part of the reason why I probably didn't sleep as comfortably is on the nights that you knew the ship was like rocking, because like I would fall asleep and then all of a sudden we'd be like, "Oop, oh, and I'm up again," you know, like so.
I
Yeah.
will I don't know if everyone knows this too. The amount of interior inside staterooms on the Wish is significantly less than
Yes.
the other ships, and the layout in that regard is different. The interior rooms have their own separate hallways, and then it's 2 sides of interior rooms.
Okay.
Whereas on the other ones, you'll have just like your regular hallway, and on one side's the ocean view and veranda, and then the other side is the interior.
Inside stateroom.
So that was a little interesting, and could maybe be initially confusing for people to find their rooms, but again, I feel like you figure it out, and it's not too bad. So
man,
I will say too, I had a room right by the stairs and the elevators, and not once did I hear foot traffic or anybody. So like they did really good with making it so like the walls weren't super thin or anything. So.
And I will say, I've been a seasoned theme park traveler, like probably 16, 17 trips the last 6-7 years. This was crowded, but it wasn't like there was 4,000 people on this ship. It did not feel packed.
Yeah, that's one thing
Like
that Disney does well.
That was amazing. Like all the shows, all the entertainment, like it was just amazing.
We were on a sold out cruise. I don't know if you knew that, John. It was a sold out cruise, and I agree. It never felt too crazy.
And that's been the vibe that we've had all summer, spring, and now fall. This seems like it's the first year that people have returned to traveling since COVID in full, you know, in full, if that makes sense. Because I've just about every cruise that I booked this year for my clients, it's been damn near at capacity, if not sold out.
Yeah. And I never once felt it from the checking in at Port Canaveral, like all the way through all the deck parties, the dinners. Like I think another complaint people had was the close proximity of the tables in the dining rooms. And I do feel like they were close, but I never felt it was unbearable. I think Worlds of Marvel is where I felt it the most. How close we were, but I think that was more of a style issue because the chairs were so big and clunky and heavy that like taking them out to then get in and everything, and because the chair was bigger, you were right next to the people that were next to you, and so I feel like that was more of a design like issue versus like being crowded.
And that answers one of my questions that I had written down to ask you guys. I done a Disney cruise last August of 22, And there were still some COVID precautions out there. They weren't, the tables were still a little spread apart. From what you just described, it sounds like they're back to pre-COVID where every table's filled, right?
And you
Yeah,
could be sharing with others. I mean, we were sharing because we were on a conference, and so I think they grouped a bunch of us. But I heard of several other people who got paired with random people they didn't know. So,
and I actually liked that when we done the cruise, and I guess it was November of 21. Dana and I, it was just me and my wife. We told them we happy to be sitting with somebody else. You get to meet people from all over the world. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, it was nice to be with such a big group, and again, we had just stellar service. So
awesome.
So on top of it.
So
go ahead.
Yep, go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say any final thoughts, because we're gonna carry this into part 2, because to do this justice, we have to talk about the adult entertainment. We have to talk about Castaway Cay, because there was a lot of different experiences that all of our agents had on Castaway Cay. That I think
guests on.
Yeah, we'll bring guests on and everything. It'll be great.
The only thing that we didn't touch on that was special to this cruise was we did have the Halloween on the High Seas cruise, and we talked about dressing up and stuff, but we didn't really talk about there was so much that went on throughout the entirety of the cruise. I didn't even feel like it was necessarily just the night of Halloween, but because the entire ship was decorated, and again, they did it differently than the other ships. The portholes were decorated with different Disney villains. And so that was just a nice touch. The tree, the pumpkin tree that's in the atrium, was different than the pumpkin trees on the other ships. I didn't stay for the story because I had done it on the Magic last year, but again, they had all these different shows and these different character interactions and things that were just so nice, compared to.
It was great.
Did they
got to meet the Sanderson sisters, and it was amazing.
And speaking of meet and greets, did they do some of the other typical DCL activities like the Royal Gathering and the tea party for families that want that? Did you see those?
So it's not a tea party on the Wish, it's Olaf's picnic.
Picnic. What about the Royal Gathering, which is one of the cool freebies that Disney gives you? It's got to be on, midnight 30 days prior to get that. Did they have the Royal Gathering?
They did. And pro tip, we got the Royal Gathering after we boarded the ship because we forgot to get it at midnight.
Wow, you still got it even after?
And there were plenty of times available. So, and we were on the ship relatively early. We were boarding group, 8 or something like that. So, and we didn't have a port arrival time because we took Disney transportation. So we just got to board once they called our boarding group. And once I was on, we were sitting down in Arendelle for lunch, and I snagged the Royal Gathering.
And for those of you guys watching that don't know what that is, there's not a lot of free things with Disney, but this is one of the things that Disney does for their Disney Cruise Line passengers. They have what's called the Royal Gathering. There's obviously limited availability, but it's a gathering with a lot of the princesses and a lot of the royal characters that you see at Disney World, Disneyland, and where they all meet with your families and your kids, and it doesn't cost anything, like the tea party and all that stuff. So that's something that Disney Cruise Line does that I thought is wonderful for families, and it sounds like you guys got to experience it. What princesses were there for you, Alyssa?
So full disclosure, I didn't go because I ended up sick.
Yikes.
But I think my roommates went, and I think it was Moana, Cinderella, Belle, and Rapunzel, maybe. So 4 that again would normally have very long lines at Walt Disney World. As long as you booked that little 15-minute window, I think you only waited 10-15 minutes to go meet all 4 in a row.
It's totally worth it. I've gotten to the point as an agent, and I don't know what you two do, that I just book it for them with my families. I automatically just do it because I know it's going to be a pleasant surprise when I show them that we've done this for them.
Yep. Yeah, I don't even tell them. I just do it, and then they're like, "Wait, how'd that get there?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna, because we're already at 53 minutes, and we didn't even cover probably half of this.
No,
so we're gonna cut it off here. Yeah. Wow. So
part 2.
Part 2 coming probably. Well, I mean,
soon.
we'll
Literally
soon.
literally, I wasn't joking when I said I got to see my dad, and I was like, Dad, you have to go. We're planning May of 2025 to go on
Wow.
the Wish
Very cool.
because
So
like I put the placeholder down, and I'm like, we're going. Like we have to go. Because I have to get back on that ship. Like
And
Yeah.
I
I don't
saw and I saw the placeholder rules change slightly, right, Alyssa?
mhm.
just slightly, like not even, and I was very pleasantly surprised too that I could get 2 rooms so that I could take my parents on as well. So 10% off. You put down the deposit. You just have you can put like a hold on to verify all the information now before you pay like the full deposit for whatever
Yeah.
sailing you choose. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why we're playing May 2025 because I'm like I have to get back on that ship. There's just so much I didn't get to do.
Yeah,
And
they're still what, giving you basically 18 months to 2 years for that placeholder?
2 years. Yeah.
years,
So
yeah.
I have till October 9th of 2025, I think,
To
to
sail.
go.
So
Yeah. So
All right, John, take us home.
all right. Well, stay tuned next week. Next time, we're gonna talk Castaway Key, adult entertainment, shows, all this fun stuff, man. There's so much to this ship that we didn't even scratch the surface. So, for Jeff, for Alyssa, I'm John. We'll see you next time. Have a
bye.
great one.
Bye-bye.